बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम वसल्लल्लाहु अला नबीयिल करीम रब्बिश्रह ली सदरी वयस्सिर ली अमरी वहलुल उक़्दतम मिन लिसानी यफ़क़हू क़ौली। The subject of the present talk is God-oriented life. God-oriented life. It means how to live a life that is required by God. How to manage your activities in the light of God's command. So it is God-oriented life. Quranic word for this life of style is Ar-Rabbaniya or Ar-Rabbani. Ar-Rabbani means Rabb wala. Ar-Rabbaniya means Rabb-oriented life. So God-oriented life means Ar-Rabbaniya. This is the best name for the life that is required by a true believer. Then I would like to begin with a Quranic verse. أَفَغَيْرَ دِينِ اللَّهِ يَبْغُونَ وَلَهُ أَسْلَمَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ طَوْعًا وَكَرْهًا وَإِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. It means that the whole universe and everything that is in our universe live the same life. The whole universe is God-oriented universe. We can take the example of solar system. Solar system, what is solar system? Solar system means that sun is in the center and all the planets are revolving around it, including our Earth. It is called heliocentric system. So this is a demonstration of God-oriented system. So the whole world is living in such a way. The whole world is living a God-oriented system, like solar system. So it is a physical demonstration. We have to live just like solar system. Solar system is a well-known system for us. In this system, everything is physical or material. All those planets are revolving around sun, but unknowingly. They follow God's command unknowingly. But man is required to do the same knowingly. Here I would like to give an example. A man came to the Prophet of Islam in Medina, when he was in Medina, and he accepted Islam. Then Prophet said that you have to learn Islam, and Ali ibn Abi Talib is your teacher. So live with Ali ibn Abi Talib and learn your deen. So what happened? This man lived for few days with Ali ibn Abi Talib, who was a senior Sahabi, and then he left away. Prophet noticed that that person is not present in Medina. So he asked about the whereabouts of this person. He was told that he left away. He is not in Medina. He was living with Ali ibn Talib for a few days. Then he left Medina, and no one knows where he is at present. The Prophet said, any one of you, if you find him, please tell him to, to meet me. So after some time, he came to the Prophet. Prophet asked, I said you to live with Ali ibn Talib and learn your deen, learn your religion. So why you left him? He said, oh, I learnt the religion of God, ad-deen. So there was no reason to stay. So I left away. Prophet asked, how you learnt deen? He said that Ali ibn Talib learned me Surah Az-Zilzal, that is chapter 99 of Al-Quran. إِذَا زُلْزِلَتِ الْأَرْضُ زِلْزَالَهَا وَأَخْرَجَتِ الْأَرْضُ أَثْقَالَهَا وَقَالَ الْإِنسَانُ مَا لَهَا يَوْمَئِذٍ تُحَدِّثُ أَخْبَارَهَا بِأَنَّ رَبَّكَ أَوْحَى لَهَا يَوْمَئِذٍ يَصْدُرُ النَّاسُ أَشْتَاتًا لِيَرَوْا أَعْمَالَهُم. Then he recited this verse. فَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ خَيْرٍ يَرَهُ وَمَنْ يَعْمَلْ مِثْقَالَ ذَرَّةٍ شَرٍّ يَرَهُ. It means that one who has done any good, he will see it. One who has done any good, he shall see it. And one who has did any evil, he shall see it. So that person said that in this verse, I learned the whole deen, everything. Prophet asked, how? He said that this verse says that everything in the knowledge of God. So when I speak or I am busy in some action, so I always think whether it is good or bad, whether it is according to the will of God or it is against the will of God. So when my conscience speaks that it is good, I do it. And when my conscience says that it is bad, I leave it. When my common sense tells me that it is against the command of God, I leave it. And when my common sense tells me that it is according to the will of God, I adopt it. So, this is the simple way how to live a life God oriented. If you try to know, if you try to explain this event, you will find that everyone is given a very important thing, that is conscience. Conscience. Conscience is the book of God in your heart. Your conscience, if it is alive, tells you every time that what is good and what is bad. So that person, after accepting Islam, when he read this chapter of the Quran, he found everything in it because his conscience was alive, his common sense was alive, he was on his nature, so there was no difficulty. So this is God-oriented life. You know, every human being wants a center for his life. Without a center, one cannot live. A center that controls all of his activities. Common man, you see the common man. The center of common man is money. Money. Always, he thinks always about money. It is money that regulates his life. Money is central point in his life. So common man revolve around money. So is the case other people. For example, politicians. The sole concern of politician is political power. So all his activities, all his effort revolve around this point to gain political power, to achieve political power. So everyone wants a center, but the true center is God. Those who don't believe in God, they adopt different kind of center. For example, there is a verse in the Quran, Arayata man ittakhadha ilahu hawa. It means that there are some who take themselves as God. It is I-centered life or man-centered life. So there are some people who take themselves as God. They make themselves in the center. It means that they follow their desires, they follow their whims, they follow their interest, they follow their passions, they follow their mind. So their life is self-centered life, self-centered life. All these lives are unwanted, against the universal culture. The universal culture is God-oriented culture. As I recited the Quranic verse, أَفَغَيْرَ دِينِ اللَّهِ يَبْغُونَ وَلَهُ أَسْلَمَ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ طَوْعًا وَكَرْهًا وَإِلَيْهِ يَرْجِعُونَ. This verse tells us that the whole universe revolves around around God, around the command of God. The whole universe, though the whole physical universe, is living a life that is God-oriented life. So is required by human being. So if human being adopts any other thing as as center, as central to his life, that is wrong. That is going against the universal culture, against the universal culture. So, if you want to know the details of this culture, God-oriented culture, you can read Quran, you can read Hadith, you can read the life of the companions of the Prophet. By reading these books, you can understand the details of God-oriented life. Those who live like this, those who adopt this kind of lifestyle, they will be rewarded paradise in the hereafter. But those who fail to adopt this divine culture, they adopted anything else for their as center for their life, they will be punished in the world hereafter. They will go to hell. So God-oriented life is key to paradise, and any life other than this is key to go to hell. Now I would like to refer some verses from the Quran and Hadith. In chapter that is called Al-Juma, Surah Al-Juma, chapter Al-Juma. In this chapter, there is a verse that إذا نودي للصلاة من يوم الجمعة فسعوا إلى ذكر الله وذروا البيع ذلكم خير لكم إن كنتم تعلمون فإذا قضيت الصلاة فانتشروا في الأرض وابتغوا من فضل الله واذكروا الله كثيرا لعلكم تفلحون. This verse tells us that when you hear the call to the salat, you have to go to mosque to perform the prayer. And after performing prayer, you may return to your business. But every time you have to remember God. Don't forget God. This is the basic principle. Man is free to engage in his worldly activities, for his business, for his job. But every time, in every activity, he must remember God. That is zikrullah. In Quranic word, it is zikrullah. You are free to engage in your worldly affairs, but you have to remember God every time and follow God's command in every aspect. This is God-oriented life. God-oriented life doesn't mean that you have to leave this world and go to mountain, go to jungle. That is not required. There is rahbaniya, and there is a hadith that la rahbaniyat fil Islam. There is no rahbaniyat in Islam. So leaving material world is not required by Islam. This is not God-oriented life. But God-oriented life is that that you are free to live in this world. You are free to engage all those material, in all those material jobs, material business. But You have to remember God every time. You have to follow the commandment of God every time. So this is God-oriented life. Then there is a hadith. Here I would like to cite some hadith to illustrate this point. The Prophet of Islam has said, Wallahi la yu'minu wallahi la yu'minu wallahi la yu'minu allazi la ya'manu jaruhu bawa'iqahu. It means that he is not a true believer who creates problem for his neighbors. He is not a true believer who creates problem for his neighbors. This is the principle of God-oriented life. You live in society, and every time there are some people who are your neighbors. So you have to live with neighbors without creating any problem for them. There is another hadith that tells us, "Illam tanfahu fala tadurruhu." It means that there are only two types of living. One, you have to be useful for your neighbors, for your surroundings, for your society. And you live as a giver member of the society, as a useful member of society. This is the first option. The second is that you have to live as a no-problem person in your society. There is no third position. There is no third position. Either you have to live in your society as a giver member, useful member. This is the first. Or you have to live in your society as a no-problem person. You have to keep yourself from creating problem for others. So these are two options for you. One who wants to live a life God-oriented, he must keep in his mind that there is no third option. Either you have to live as a giver person in your society, or you have to live as a no problem person in your society. Then there is a hadith, al-Muslimu man salama an-nasu bi-lisanihi wa yadihi. A true Muslim is one, a true believer is one by whose hands and tongue people are safe. A true Muslim is one by whose hands and tongue people are safe. It means that true Muslim is a harmless member of society. Harmless member of society. Peaceful member of society. Tolerant member of society. This is very important. A true Muslim is one who can live in the society as a harmless member, as a peaceful member, as a tolerant member. One who failed to follow this God's commandment, he is not a believer. He is not a Muslim. He is not a mu'min. Then there is hadith. Man kana yu'minu billahi wal yawmil akhir falyaqul khairan aw liyasmut. It means that a true believer is one who speaks either truth, either a sound thing, or keep silence. So there is two options. in your speech. Either you have to speak something that is true, that is good, that is correct, or you have to keep silence. You are not allowed to speak speak absurd things, to tell a lie, to backbiting, to violent talk. All those things are forbidden for you. You have only two options. Either you have to speak, you have to speak what is good and correct and sound, or you have to keep silence. I think all it is a very comprehensive teaching. It's very comprehensive teaching because everything begins from speech. You see, it is speech that creates problem. The speech that wage a war, the speech that creates hate and revenge, everything. So speech is basic in human life. Speech is basic in human life. All things begins from speech. All things begins from speech. Stones cannot speak, so there is no quarrel, no hate. Stones and trees cannot speak, so there is no fighting among trees. There is no fighting among stones. So everything begins from speech. War and violence and all those evil practices begin from speech. So if you control your tongue, if you control your speech, then there is no evil. All the evils certainly will disappear if people follow this commandment, not to speak except truth, not to speak except truth. This is a very simple commandment. But if people follow this commandment, there is no evil. No evil. So this, these are the principle of living a life that is called God-oriented life. Then, and that is called in Islam, in Quran, ar-Rabbaniya, ar-Rabbani. Rabbani means any godly people, those who follow the commandment of God. So in this world, man has freedom, freedom, freedom of speech, freedom of action, freedom of everything. So one who controls his freedom, one who lives a life that may be called life of disciplined life, disciplined life, and controlled life, and self. So there are two ways of life in this world. Either you live in discipline, in control, that is to 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 use your freedom properly. This is the one way of life. The other way is to misuse your freedom, not to control your behavior, not to adopt any discipline. So one who follows God's commandments and one who adopts a disciplined style of life, he is living God-oriented life. And one who fails to control his desires, fails to control his freedom, so he is not living the life that is God-oriented life. That he is living a self-oriented life. A self-oriented life is not allowed by anyone in this world. You are free, but you are not free to misuse your freedom. This is the point. Man is free, but he is not free to misuse his freedom. This is very important. Man has given you freedom as a test and not as a right. And a man has given freedom as a test and not as a right. So man has freedom, but he is not free to misuse his freedom. Those people who misuse their freedom, they will go to hell. They will be punished in the hereafter. They will fail to find their place in paradise. So this is the crucial test. Crucial test. Proper use of freedom is a key to paradise, and misuse of freedom is a key to hell. This is the shortest formula of success and failure in this world. Now, it is not a very simple thing. The question is that man himself cannot understand what is good for him and what is bad for him. Man is man has mind, man has the power of thinking, but his knowledge is limited. He himself cannot know all the things. He himself, by his own, cannot organize his life. So man wants to know the God's commands. God who is creator, God who is sustainer, God who knows everything. So man is in need of God's command, God's guidance. Quran is that kind of guidance. God has sent his prophet and he revealed Quran as a guidebook. So everyone who wants to live a life, that God-oriented life, I want to have a place in paradise, he must read Al-Quran. That is guidebook for him. In this world, there is no other book that may be called as guidebook for human being. Quran is the only guidebook because philosophy has failed to give you any trustworthy knowledge. Philosophy is a bundle of confusion. Then science admits itself that it is not in a position to give complete knowledge. Then other religions are not preserved in its original form. Only Islam is preserved religion. Only Quran is a preserved book. So one who wants to live a life that is God-ordered life, he must read Quran. He must take Quran as his guidebook. There is no other option. There is no other option. So Quran gives you sense of direction. Quran gives you line of direction. Quran gives you the fundamentals of life. Quran guides you how to live in this world. What is good, what is bad. So although man is free, but this freedom is only for test. So every human being must read Quran and, and take it as a guidebook. Otherwise, he will go to failure. Quran is the only book that claims that it is a guidebook, it is a divine guidebook. If you read Quran, you will find hundreds references in it. That Quran claims that it is a divine guidebook. It is a guidebook revealed by God for a human being. And no other book you can find in this earth that claims that it is divine guidebook. So the so so you have no option other than to take Quran as your guidebook. So successful life depends on the formula that you may adopt a lifestyle that is God-oriented life. And guidebook to live such life is only Quran. There is no other book that may guide you in this regard. Then Quran is not simply a book. With Quran, we find also model, practical model. There is a verse in the Quran, لَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. In the Prophet, there was a best model for you, best example for you. So Prophet gave us Quran, a book of guidance, and he himself practiced all those things. So he became a practical model for us. Then the companions of the Prophet also became a model for us. So if you read the life of the Prophet, if you read the life of the companions, we'll find that all kind of models are there. Prophet lives a very eventful life. His life was an eventful life, and companions' life were eventful life. So in Prophet and in companion, we find all kind of examples, all kind of models, all kind of references. So Quran is a guidebook, and Prophet and companions are practical model. So these two things are complete guide for us in this world. Then I would like to add one hadith that tells us the formula of this kind of life. There is a hadith In this hadith, there are four principles. Precisely, there are four principles. وَعَلَى الْعَاقِلِ مَا لَمْ يَكُنْ مَغْلُوبًا عَلَى عَقْلِهِ أَنْ تَكُونَ لَهُ سَاعَةٌ سَاعَةٌ يُنَاجِي فِيهَا رَبَّهُ سَاعَةٌ يُحَاسِبُ فِيهَا نَفْسَهُ وَسَاعَةٌ يَتَفَكَّرُ فِيهَا سُنَنَ اللَّهِ وَسَاعَةٌ يَخْلُو فِيهَا لِحَاجَتِهِ مِنَ الْمَطْعِمِ وَالْمَشْرَبِ. It is a saying of the Prophet of Islam. So, it is a hadith. So, according to this hadith, there every human being, every man and woman must have uh, four moments in their life. One, when yunaji fiha rabba, when he is busy in whisper with God, with whisper to God. That is any that is nearness to God, presence of God. He must experience the presence of God, nearness of God, and he must engage in dua, that is called whisper. So there must be some moment when one feels so near to God that he is engaged in whispers, in conversation. So yunaji fiha rabba, such moment when he is very near to God and he is engaged in conversation to God, that is whisper, in the form of whisper. Now the second moment is yuhasibu fiha nafsa, that is introspection. So every day and night one must experience this kind of moment also when he is engaged in introspection, in seeing in yourself. That is called introspection. So this is the second moment when you are engaged in introspection, in self thinking, thinking against your own self. That may be called anti-self thinking. So the second moment is one when you are engaged in anti-self thinking, in finding mistakes in your own, what was wrong with you. So this is introspection. Then the third moment is contemplation in the nature, in the creation. يَتَفَكُّرُ فِيهَا فِي سُنَنِ اللَّهِ. This is the third moment. So it is also necessary that you must find some experience. You must experience some moment when you are contemplating in nature, in the creation plan, in the creation of God, and taking lessons from creation, taking lessons from world around you. This is contemplation. Then the fourth is to try to find some livelihood for your life. So first is conversation with God. Second is introspection. Third is contemplation. And fourth is find some time to to, to, to get livelihood for you, for your daily living. This is the shortest formula of that kind of living, that is God-oriented life. So if you keep in your mind that you can judge about your life, whether you are living that kind of life or not. If you keep these four things in your mind, every day you can judge. Every day you are in a position to judge whether you are living a life that is God-oriented life or not. If you find that you experience the presence of God every day, if you find that you go to introspection every day, if you find that you are engaged in contemplation in nature, in God's creation, then if you find that only fourth part of your time you are engaged in your livelihood, one fourth, according to the hadith, you are allowed to spend only one fourth of your time in your business, in your job, in your worldly affairs. So this is the shortest formula, and this is the formula by which you can judge your life every day and night, whether you are living a good life or not. It's very important. Very, very simple formula. And you have to introspect every day. You have to see yourself every day. You have to examine yourself every day, whether you are living according to this formula or not. Your time is divided into four parts. Your time, your day and night are divided into four parts. In one part, you are engaged in conversation with God. In the second part, you are engaged in introspection. In the third part, you are engaged in contemplation. And only in one fourth of your time, you are engaged in your job and business, in your worldly affairs. So this is what we call God-oriented life, or Rabbani life, or Rabbaniya. So one who want to make his life successful, one who want to live a successful life in that period, and then he want to get paradise in the post-death period, he must follow this formula. He must live a life that is God-oriented life. Otherwise, he is doomed to failure. Now, there are two parts of God-oriented life. The plan of God-oriented life has two parts. One is its belief system, and second is moral conduct. There are two basic parts of this Quranic verse: belief system and moral conduct. So the gist of moral conduct is given in this hadith, أن تحب لأخيك ما تحب لنفسك, is the gist of the moral conduct in this world. It means that love for others which you love for yourself. Do for others that you want to do by yourself. Everyone knows about himself. Everyone knows that what 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 he loves. Everyone knows what he loves, what is good for him, what is pleasant for him. Everyone knows that about this. So you have to do the same thing with others. What you want to do with you, you have to do the same thing to others. In Persian, it is said that the same teaching in Persian language, हर चे बर खुद बपसंदी बर दीगरा मपसंद. What is not good for you, don't do the same with others. This is the simplest formula and also comprehensive formula of moral conduct. I think that everything is included in this formula. It is sufficient if you keep in your mind this formula. आंचे बरखुद बपसंदी बर दीगरा मपसंद. So it is sufficient for you. It is the best formula for a good life in a society. Your speech, your intention, your action, your behavior, everything must be controlled by this formula. What is good for you, that is also good for others. So you have to do for others what you want to do by you. Live with others that want to be lived with you. And everyone wants something for others. Everyone wants that people must behave in a best manner with himself. So he must keep the same formula for others. हर चे बरखुद मपसंदी बर दीगरा मपसंद. This is the principle of this is the basic principle of moral conduct. Then let us take the belief system. What is the belief system? Belief system is based on Tawheed, that is oneness of God. Tawheed means oneness of God. So belief system of God-oriented life is based on Tawheed, oneness of God. There is no God but one God. La ilaha illallah. There is no God but one God. This is Tawheed. And this is the basic principle of belief system. Now, there are different religions, different systems, and everyone has some different belief system. For example, some religions say that God is two, God is three, God is numerous, and Guru is God, and spiritual Guru or God. But according to Quranic principle, there is no God but one God. Once I dialed my telephone and the voice I received from the other side that this number does not exist. I think all of you have experienced this kind of thing. So the voice from the other side came to me, this number does not exist. So this is the case of all those other system of belief. Only one system of belief is correct, that is based on oneness of God. All other systems are just like wrong call, just like wrong call. You call to a God that does not exist. There are no two gods, there are no three gods, there are no numerous gods. There is no guru, he is a God. No. So all these calls are wrong calls. When you dial to these gods, you receive from a voice from the other side that there is no such God. This God does not exist. Then there are two basic um, theology, two basic theological system in the belief of God. One is called monism and the second is called monotheism. Monism means wahat-e-wujud. It means that there is only one reality. It is a single reality that is manifested in everything. There is sun, moon, stars, trees, mountain, ocean. Everything is simply manifestation of one reality. There is wahat-e-wujud or monism or Advaitwad. So according to this belief, they say there is no difference between God and Dog because everything is God. So according to this belief, God is a like pervading spirit. God is not just like us. We see, we know, we hear, we think. So God has no such faculties. God simply like cosmic rays or gravitational pull. So God is a pervading spirit rather than a personal God. So this kind of thinking is named. So Monism presents this kind of theology, this kind of thinking. But according to Islam, it is wrong. It is baseless. According to Islam, the belief system of Islam is based on monotheism. There is personal God. Oneness of God means God is a person. God can hear, God can see, God can think, God can do everything. So this is the Islamic belief. Some Sufi people were believing in monism, like Maulana Rum. His famous book Masnavi is based on this kind of thinking. The whole Masnavi is based on monotheistic concept. That is what they would do. But it is not Islamic. It is not Islamic. According to the Quran and according to the Prophet of Islam, monotheism is the Islamic concept. Monotheism means God is one, God is a person, God has a separate being, God has an independent being, God can do anything, God is all powerful, God is everything. God has all kind of power. So Islamic concept is based on monotheistic concept and not monistic concept. Now, Quran is a introduction of this God. The whole Quran is like an introduction of God. The very first verse tell us the tell us about this God. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. It means that God is one and God is uh, merciful and compassionate God. Two very important qualities of God is mentioned here. Rahman and Rahim. Most merciful, most compassionate. This is the introduction of God in the very first verse of the Quran. Then the whole Quran is introduction of this God. There is one God. And one who accepts Islam. Now, what means accepting Islam? It means that one who discovers truth, one discovers that God is one. Accepting Islam is not simply like a lip service. It is a discovery of truth. When one discovers that there is God, when he realizes that there is a God Almighty, then he say, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. I bear witness that there is no God but one God. And I bear witness that Muhammad is his prophet, his Rasul. So, by reciting this kalima, one accepts God, one accepts Islam. Then there are other obligations. When one accepts Islam, he must follow the commandments of God. He must perform prayers. And there are 5 pillars of Islam. 5 pillars. One is kalima, and then there are salat, zakat, Saum, and Hajj. That is prayer and fasting and zakat and Hajj. Hajj is a annual worship which is performed in Mecca. Then there are moral teachings. The one who accepts Islam, he must follow all those moral teachings. And the most important is that he must plan his life in taking God in his focus. One scholar has rightly said that the greatest concern of Islam is God. The greatest concern of Islam is Allah. So one who accepts Islam, one who wants to live an Islamic life, he must know this point. So after following these 5 commandments, he becomes a Muslim, a true Muslim. But following means following with true spirit, not simply as a form. Although there is a form, but form is not enough. You have to perform all these practices with letter and spirit, with form, with spirit and form. Both are equally required. Without spirit, there is no form. Without form, there is no spirit. So both are equally required. Both are equally required. There is a verse in the Quran وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي أَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. It means that God is very near to human being, very near. When you call, you will find God. God is not far from you. God is very near from you. When you call God by your heart, you will find that God was very, very near to you. He will respond to you. So in Islam, there is no intermediate, there is no intermediary between man and God. No. Any man may ask God directly without taking any intermediary agent. This is very important. In other religions, you will see that they believe in intermediary agent. There are someone who is between man and God, but in Islam it is not. In Islam, there is nothing between God and man. When man asks, when man calls, he finds that God was very near to him. This is mentioned in the Quran in these words: وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ أُجِيبُ دَعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا لِي وَلْيُؤْمِنُوا بِي لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. So this is the God-oriented life, or Rabbani pattern of life. So one part of this life is based on belief, and the other part is based on moral conduct. You, one who is interested to know the details, he must read Al-Quran and Hadith and the life of the companions. It is must for everyone. There is no excuse. No excuse will be accepted by God in this regard. When Quran is preserved, when the life of Muhammad is historically preserved, when the life of companions is historically preserved, then no excuse will be accepted to God. You have to read all these materials and find what is truth, what are God's commands, what is the formula of success. So everyone must read all these materials. Basically, these books are in Arabic, but translations are available everywhere in every languages, in English, in German, in French, in Russian, and also in Hindi and Urdu, in Persian. In every language that the translation is available. So there is no excuse at all. So before we complete our lifespan in this world and die, and after death you will be presented before God. That is on the day of judgment. Before all these things, you have to know what is the truth. People are sincere about knowing the laws of income tax and laws of and other laws, but it is more important to know the law of God, the commandments of God, which is revealed, which was revealed on Prophet and is preserved in the form of Al-Quran. So this is the basic this is the basic things for all men and women. There is no escape for everyone. Everyone must know all these things. Otherwise, he is doomed to failure. Nothing can save you from failure. Nothing else can save you from failure. So, in short, this is the creation plan of God. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم